In 1984, you could buy a house with 3.5 years of income. Today, it takes 5. In some cities, it takes 12. You didn't do anything wrong. You just arrived 40 years too late. Everyone's got a villain ready for you. Wall Street, hedge funds, corporations buying up entire neighborhoods in cash, locking ordinary families out of their own communities. It's a satisfying story. It's just not the real one. Large institutional investors own roughly 3% of single-family rental homes in this country. Less than 1% of all homes, period. The biggest players have actually been selling, not buying, for the past 2 years. The conspiracy you were promised barely exists, which is almost worse, because it means there's no boardroom to storm. What's actually happening is quieter and a lot harder to fight. If you've done everything right and still feel like the ground keeps moving, stay with me for the next few minutes, because this is going to change how you read every headline about housing from here on out. And if these breakdowns are useful to you, the subscribe button is right there. Start with the land itself. Most residential land in this country is zoned for one thing only: a single detached house. On its own lot, nothing denser allowed nearby. That zoning was written decades ago, often to keep density and the people density brings out of certain neighborhoods. The intent faded from memory. The lines never moved. Then came 2008. Builders went bankrupt by the thousands. Construction crews scattered into other industries and never came back in the same numbers. The country fell behind on building new homes by millions of units, and it never closed that gap. Then add the interest rate. In 2021, you could borrow at 3%. A $400,000 home cost you around $1,700 a month. Today, near 6.5%, that same home costs you closer to $2,500. Same house, $800 more every month for the exact same walls. And here's the part that quietly seals the trap. Everyone who already bought at 3% has no reason to ever sell. So they stay. Inventory freezes. The handful of homes that do come up get bid into the sky by everyone else who's stuck waiting. None of this required a villain. It just required incentives lining up in the same direction for long enough. If household income had grown at the same pace as home prices since 1980, the typical American family would be earning around $115,000 a year right now. Instead, it earns about $84,000, a gap of over $30,000. Every year, quietly absorbed, never recovered. Here's the part that's harder to sit with than any conspiracy. This isn't a broken system. It's a system working exactly the way it was built to work. Homeownership became the primary engine of middle-class wealth in this country decades ago, which means everyone who already owns a home has a direct financial interest in protecting its value. And the surest way to protect it is to make sure not too much new housing ever gets built nearby. Homeowners show up to the zoning meetings. Renters don't. Homeowners vote at far higher rates. So the people who already won the game are, often without even framing it that way, the ones quietly keeping the gate closed behind them. It's not malice. It's self-interest, multiplied by millions of individually reasonable decisions, compounding into a wall. So where does that leave you? Not with a villain to defeat, but with a mechanism to understand. The old formula, 3 years of income, a steady job, a tidy timeline, isn't coming back. Chasing it on its own terms just leaves you measuring yourself against a math problem that no longer exists. If this changed how you see the numbers you were handed, subscribe. Because next week, I'm pulling apart the part of this nobody talks about. What actually happens to your money while you wait? And drop a comment telling me the year you first felt priced out. I read everyone.